Hi, this is Jesse with Adventures West, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a fishing spear or Hawaiian sling out of items that you're probably going to be having laying around your house somewhere, or are cheap to buy. This is the finished product. It's about a 3.5 foot Hawaiian sling. The effective range is about the same as the length of the sling itself, about 3 feet. And what I used is a fishing rod blank. An older one, tip was busted off, so I'm not going to be using it anymore. These are bicycle spokes, and I have a replacement band for a slingshot or a wrist rocket. About $4 to buy at a hardware store or sporting goods store. So the items you're going to need to make this spear is obviously the fishing rod. You could look for one that's really cheap at a garage sale that's old or real cheap or whatever, or if you've got any ones that are laying around with missing eyes or tips broken off or whatever. But you want a medium action, you want a thicker blank, about 3 feet, 3.5 feet is what's going to work. And you're going to need to take the eyes off, take all the handle parts off. You're going to need the spokes off an old bicycle tire, about 8 inches long, 9 inches long. You'll need a knife, some pliers. Have to buy one of these. It's a replacement band for a slingshot. It's 20-pound monofilament. Any pound test will work, but 20-pound is nice because you don't have to wrap it as much when it's done. You're going to need some super glue, and you'll need some files. And these are going to sharpen up the points for your tips of your sling. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this eye off, bend it down with some pliers, scrape the back with the razor knife, and cut into the handle, take all this plastic off. It could be a little bit of a process. It might be kind of hard to do, but you'll be able to get it cleaned up real nice. You want everything taken off, so it's just down to the just the blank. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, I took the pliers and knife to it, and now we have just a nice clean blank here. I took the pliers, bent the eye down, comes right off, and you actually might need to get into the handle part with a hacksaw. That plastic can be real tough to get off of there, so you could saw one edge and then use the pliers to work on it to get it off. Once you have the majority of the handle off and that eye off, you take the knife to it and scrape any bits of glue that's lumpy or bubbled up there. You want it to be as smooth as possible so it's more efficient in the water. So once you have that blank that's nice and clean, now it's time to work on your spokes to make the points. So what you're going to want to do is just a rough file is going to work, but I like to have a fine file and a rough file. And what you'll do is take the point that you want and hit it first with the rough edge with the fine file. You're going to want to put the file on a flat surface and work it like this, but you're going to want to get that rough edge down, so then you can take it to the rough file and you can really take the edges off and work it down to a point that's about 30 degrees. Once you have it pretty good to a point, go back to the fine file, sharpen them down. You can get them almost like a needle point on these things. You want to do that, make sure that you have 3. You're going to want to put the points on all 3 before you put it in, because it's a lot harder to file the points down once they're inside the blank. So I'm going to go to that, sharpen them, and okay, I've got the spokes down to points like I want. That's the what they should look like, about 30-degree points. What you're going to want to do is take all 3 of them together and take about 2 feet of fishing line and you want to take your points and put them all together and then go point down, make sure that they're even, and you're going to want to wrap some fishing line around the rear part you want about 7 inches, 6 inches to be coming out of the front of the spear. And you're going to want to wrap some fishing line around them. And what you're going to be doing is basically making a stopper so they won't slide down any further than this point here into the blank. Wrap that up real good, then take some super glue. You're going to want to put a little bit on the line, that ball of line that you made, and you're going to want to let that cure a bit. Alright, now that the points are curing, you should have something that looks like this. It's your points, monofilament. You're going to let that dry, and while that's drying, you're going to take your blank here, take about 3 feet of mono, and what you do is take a dot of super glue, put it in about an inch, inch and a half in on the blank, and then put some line on there so that'll hold your fishing, your monofilament down. And you start wrapping. Overwrap the first part, and then start wrapping up the blank. And what you're going to want to do is go all the way to the tip with this wrap. You can make it look pretty, make it nice and tight, but at this point you don't really have to, because all you're doing is you're going to make a bit of a connection with this monofilament. It's going to connect from this tip of the blank, and you're going to wrap up on your points, and then those two will come together and you wrap over the top of it. It'll become one solid piece. Okay, so that's wrapped. What we're going to do, we're going to glue this. Just one line of glue over the top. Make sure it goes in nice. You can kind of spread it out a bit. Now hold the line there and let that cure. Okay, the next part is attaching the tip to the blank. What you're going to want to do is take your super glue. You're going to want to super glue up the wraps on the blank really well. Make sure that that gets pretty good and saturated and worked in to the wrap real well. And then take your monofilament stopper. You're going to want to glue that quite a bit. Make sure that gets thoroughly saturated. That'll basically turn into a solid piece of plastic with the super glue. And slide the tips down into the rod blank at the point here. And you're going to want to super glue where that meets the blank. Super glue that really good. Hopefully the super glue will get down in there, and that will become one solid piece. Make sure not to touch it at this point, or move anything for a good solid 2 minutes or so until that super glue cures up really well. Because if you don't, this is going to want to spin when you wrap it. So we'll let this cure, and then we'll go from there. The points with the stopper are attached well now. So what you're going to want to do, take another length of mono, about 4 feet or so. And what you'll do here, so you don't have to make any knots. It can be irritating trying to make knots with this stuff. Slide it in between your points. Slide it down as close to the stopper as you can, and it'll be nice and tight in there. You won't have to make any knots. Take your snips, cut the end off. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make this one solid piece with monofilament. So you start wrapping it down the stopper. Make sure to get quite a bit of your line right behind the stopper where it meets your blank. And then start wrapping it down the blank. Doesn't have to be wrapped too much. The super glue is going to hold really good. Wrap it up and then back down out to the point. Right, that should be good. That's going to hold. So what you're going to want to do is take your super glue again, hold your wrap down, and you're going to want to make a line of super glue here. Make sure that gets saturated really well, and in the line again. Let that cure up a bit. Once that holds, that little line there, you're going to go ahead and give it a couple more lines. You're going to want to use quite a bit of super glue on this part. And if you glue it enough, it'll basically become like one solid piece of plastic. And we'll let that cure a bit. We'll move on to the rubber. Okay, this is the last step in making this sling, is putting the bands on. So what you'll do is take your bands and put them facing downwards. What you're going to do is hold both ends with your hand like this. Take about 3 foot of monofilament and put one end underneath of your thumb. And start wrapping. Make sure that you overlap those first couple wraps, that way you won't have to make a knot. Wrap it down about 1/2 inch and then super glue it. Hold on to it for a bit, make sure it cures, and then put a couple more dots on the line. Make sure the line is attached to both the blank and the tubing. Let that cure about 1/2 inch down, and it'll be done. So this is the completed item here. I'll show you how to use it. You might not have ever used one of these before or even seen one. So what you're going to do, these bands are actually pretty nice because they have this leather strap, and it's easy on your thumb. What you do is you put the strap on your thumb like that, and then you put your hand down and grasp the blank. So just like that, and then what you'll do is you pull the rod back while that stretches out the tubing, and then for aiming is just point and shoot. It's pretty easy. Probably need a bit of practice before you actually get any fish, but point and shoot, effective range is about 3 feet, 3.5 feet. What's really nice about these homemade slings is the fact that these points are so thin. More than likely, the fish you're going to be encountering, if you're ab diving or just free diving 10, 15 feet of water or less, you're going to be finding perch and greenling, maybe some small rock cod or black snapper or anything like that. The smaller points, they're not going to make that much damage in a fish. I have here, this is a 4-footer. This was about a $50 sling. You can purchase at dive shops or outdoor shops. As you can see, the points are a lot bigger, about 1/4 inch, maybe even 3/8. And if you stick a perch with this, it's going to blow some big holes in it. You're going to end up wasting a lot of the meat. But these smaller slings are just as effective, and they don't do as much damage. Have pretty good range on them too. So if you like the video, obviously go ahead and like it. Hopefully you'll subscribe. And also, if you do end up making one of these Adventures West homemade slings, we'd love to see some videos from you guys. Better quality the better, obviously, but if it's a good video, we'll put it on the site. All right, thanks for watching.